Hey guys, welcome back to Ultimate S&S. So right now we're going to be discussing what's happening over in Europe again. So two European allies are now they have their fuel source shut off. The natural gas has been shut off by Russia. They were given a demand that they would pay up front, and they would pay up front in rubles, which would go against the sanctions and stuff. So they did not pay. So they now have Poland and Bulgaria sitting there, and they do not have the natural gas flowing in from Russia at this point. And this is what they were worried about over in European nations, is Russia shutting off the fuel. And that's one of the things that President Donald Trump was trying to create, a situation where they were not dependent on Russian oil. And when Biden took office, they shut all that down. So they are dependent on Russian oil. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate that. Our administration up there is a freaking mess. But anyway, here's the article. You can find it on CNN, Fox News. It's everywhere. But we're going to post up a little clip for the article for you real quick. So this is going to have some backlash from NATO and stuff. I guarantee it will. But also understand the international community is being called upon by Ukraine and even by the UN now that Russia should hand over control of its nuclear weapons to the rest of the world. That's not going to happen. I see under no circumstances Putin doing that. But what this is doing is it's going to put Russia in a corner where they have to go to war. And I believe that's what this administration has wanted all along. Personally, I mean, that's what Biden has been hung up on, is Russia the entire time, where the more existential threat, in my opinion, was going to be coming from China. But it is what it is, guys. I mean, I'm not the president. Unfortunately, I don't have the resources that guy has and the information coming into him, even though I don't think he's in a mental state where he can actually process that stuff. Unfortunately, I think he's gotten to the point where he's not cognitively enabled to do that job. You know, he's not catching on to what's happening. But anyway, so what do we do with all this stuff that we're seeing? Well, one, keep your family close, guys. There's a saying, and I like the saying. I don't remember where I've seen it from, but it's self-sufficient me. That's what you want to be. You want to be self-sufficient. You want to make sure that it doesn't matter what's happening around you. You've always got a way to survive, whether it's through primitive survival skills, and you can learn a lot of those at Survival Living, guys. I highly recommend you go over there. And if you're wanting to learn more about working out and stuff like that, he's also got a workout channel as well over there. But the main thing that we need to be focusing on is make sure that we have the skills to survive, but also making sure that we know how to reach a sustainable level. So understand, when we're talking sustainability, we're talking being able to find water, being able to process water on your own site, being able to grow food. Maybe you're finding wild foods, how to cultivate that on your own properties. Maybe if it's a situation where you don't have any land to do that on, but there's national forests around where you can find an area where nobody's at, maybe you can cultivate some food there, so you have that backup location when things go bad. That would be my recommendation to you. Understand, even if you have your own property, you need backup plans. And that's one of the things that we establish here. We don't show a lot of that here because there are people who know about where we're at. And I could show a picture of like a fishing hole, and they know exactly where I'm at. So I don't want to show my locations where I'm setting up because it's no one's business. So that would be my recommendation. Find you a good spot to get a second, even a third location set where you are growing food and stuff like that, and you're getting things cultivated, where if you have to leave, you have a place to go to, and there's going to be food there as well. Because understand, in a situation where you have to actually just bug out, you're not going to have time to bring a lot of your supplies with you. So that stuff needs to be staged up in areas now. I hope that makes sense to everybody. But anyway, so I'm going to show you a little bit of stuff we got here with the garden. It's just going to be some nice shots that we've done. And, you know, if you love gardens and stuff, that's great. Here comes some videos. If you hate gardens and stuff, you know, I hate it. But here comes some videos. So as you can see, my zucchini and my squash and my cucumbers and stuff like that, they're coming into bloom. So at this point, I will not be using diatomaceous earth anywhere near those plants because they are coming into bloom. When your plants are not in bloom and they're all just foliage, you can use that DE. At this point, you want to use neem oil, and they have a lot of different types of applicators. They have it in spray bottles. You can dilute it down if you want to. Me personally, I buy one of the big spray bottles, and you can use that. But I don't go heavy on neem oil because it's not something I can process here. So I want to find ways that you can deal with these pests and stuff naturally. So one of the natural ways is, in my opinion, to take just some dish soap and some water and put it in a spray bottle. And when you spray, it's going to keep those bugs off. So one of our viewers had recommended that you can take like the Japanese beetles. I always call them June bugs, but it's a Japanese beetle, rather large beetle, and they will come into a garden, they will eat. And usually that's around June. That's why we call them June bugs. And you can take, apparently you can take, and if you kill some of those and then leave the bodies in the area, it puts off a stink that keeps the other beetles from coming over there. So I'm going to try that this year. I want to make sure it's in a location where it's not going to draw ants in with those small carcasses, but I'm going to try it. It makes sense to me, so we're going to give that a try and see how that works out. But the flocks are looking great. I was out looking at my other rooster, and the little, there's the 2 brown leghorns and a black copper Moran, and I believe 2 are female, 2 are hens, whatever you want to call them, and the other one is a small cockerel, which is going to be a rooster. But man, he is so cool the way he looks that I don't want to get rid of my Americana rooster. He's just awesome. I mean, that's been one of my favorite roosters out there since I started this project. But I think what I'm going to do is make another coop area and then move that smaller flock over to it, just because of the fact that they don't really associate with this other flock because they're just so small and stuff. But I don't want 2 roosters being able to fight each other either. So I'm going to make just a smaller flock off to the side, I think. And we'll go from there. But they say that those brown leghorn roosters are highly aggressive. So it still might end up a situation where he becomes food. So we're just going to wait and see. I'm not going to have to deal with an aggressive rooster when I'm tending my flocks, because I like to go out and have fun and enjoy my chickens. And if I got someone trying to spur me all the time, that ain't going to happen. So, but I'm hoping that these videos are inspiring you. I'm hoping that these videos are coming in such a way that it's reaching on a level of that you can do it too. If I can do it as one person and you have a family, imagine how much better it's going to look, guys. And anything that I show you on this channel, I'm showing you what I'm doing. It is not the only way. It is the best way as far as I'm concerned for what I have to work with. So I want to be completely sustainable. I try not to buy stuff at the store that I wouldn't be able to make myself, and see how it works. If it works pretty good, then I'll put it in practice. So like for chicken baths and stuff, they can just use the sand if they want to, but I like to treat my birds, and I'll add just some sand, put in some hardwood ash from melting, burning down oak limbs and things like that. And then I always put a little diatomaceous earth in that as well. And where they're digging their holes in the back, I just dump that right into that hole, and they come out and they bathe in it, and they love it. And it keeps mites, it keeps ticks and different little lice and stuff like that chickens could get, keeps that off of them. So that would be my recommendation, especially if you have your own property. Make you a nice burn pit. Don't be burning out in the yard unless you have burn permits. The guy that started these fires up here recently, if y'all remember the videos that was about the wildfires, he got hammered because he didn't have a burn permit. If he'd had a burn permit, he'd have been fine, but he didn't have a burn permit. So they ended up charging him with heavy misdemeanors, and it was like almost $20,000 worth of fines because of the fires he set, because the wind was blowing and it's just carried that embers off and it started fires. So he's $20,000 in debt, doesn't have a home. It burnt his house and his neighbor's house is out. So yeah, that's a good way to make your community mad, by not being smart with stuff. So, but anyway, I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. We're going to go ahead and end here. And I'm going to try to, I'd missed live stream on Wednesday. I'm going to try to make that up if I can, maybe this evening. We'll see. I've got a lot of stuff going on today. I mean, we're coming up to a point where I'll probably be able to do, one video a day or every couple of days at this point. And the reason for that is because my garden is starting to bloom. It's going to be coming into full production probably here in another week or two with certain plants. I've set it off in stages, which helps me out. But the problem is it does lengthen out the process of getting those crops in. And then once the crops come in, certain plants will be able to produce all season. Some plants, once they produce, they're done. So when that reaches that point, I'll be pulling up stalks, retilling, and putting in another crop. So I'm going to make the most of this growing season because this may be our last growing season as free Americans. That's why I want to put this out there. I think the garden's looking pretty good for a garden. Now, if you want to do like one of those real fancy gardens, then if we do happen to get another good year, my plan next year is to change quite a bit of stuff up in the garden and make it more, you know, aesthetic to the eyes, aesthetically pleasing to the eyes, I guess you could say. But the fact is it doesn't matter how pretty it is. What matters is it productive? And so far, it looks like this is going to be a productive garden because I'm seeing quite a few zucchini that are already, 3.5 inches long, as big around as my finger, and they wasn't there yesterday. So I'm expecting in the next few days this stuff is going to take off like wildfire. And I'm really hoping it does because I'm ready to start getting some stuff canned, some stuff dehydrate, but most importantly, I'm ready to get it on my table and start cooking it up. So, and showing some of those different recipes like we did with our greens, and then showing some of the chicken stuff. I might not show the full cooking process, but we're going to discuss a little bit and show you some of the end results, guys. But have a wonderful day.